Hi class, Chef Twa here. I just wanted to show you guys how to make Chinese crullers, which is also a very similar recipe that I actually saw also for crullers just in general. I had these crullers with chocolate, hot chocolate along with churros in Spain. And so it's not much different at all. In fact, it's the same thing, very basic recipe. You have flour, you have eggs, you have water, you have milk and baking powder in there. It's not a yeast leavened dough. In fact, it's kind of like a donut, a cruller that you just fry and it gets leavened through the baking powder itself. So I already mixed up the dough. There's also butter in there, which kind of gives it a nice richness. So I'll include in the recipe in my notes for you guys for this video. However, I rolled it out into a log and then I flattened it with a rolling pin to kind of create this shape right here. And so, let's see, maybe I can, this really nice log right here. You can actually oil the bottom of your Silapat or even flour it. I like to use oil because I just try to avoid the addition of flour added to it. So I roll it out. It looks about, I don't really have exact measurements, but I mean, you can see how wide the Silapat is. It's a half sheet tray, right? And so you just try to get it flat, but not too flat, because what's gonna happen is that when you roll it out, you want it about like a 1/4 inch thick. And when you roll it out, you're actually gonna end up with, actually like to cut the ends right here because I like it to be a little more straight. But what happens is you like it thick because right before you fry it, you stretch it right before, and then it becomes these long crullers. And so you kind of go for about 1 inch thick for each one. Of course, depending on what size you're doing, but okay. All right. I like to take it and pile it on top of each other. Take one, pile it on top of the other. It doesn't have to be perfect because when you stretch it out and when it fries up, you're gonna get a little bit different shape from them, for sure. But getting that together. Using your skewer, you're basically going to push down on the bottom, down in between, right in the dead center, to kind of create like a divot, because then this is where, you know, Chinese crullers, you get to tear it apart and you eat it with porridge, or you can eat it with rice, or you can roll it in rice crepes and then cover it with like soy sauce, which you see a lot at dim sum restaurants. Okay, and so what's gonna happen, maybe I should sacrifice one to show you guys. So right before you fry it, you're gonna stretch it out and you're gonna throw it right in the fryer. And so I'm gonna actually throw this one in the fryer right now. All right, so here's the crullers. It's stretched, and as it's stretched, I throw it into the fryer. I use a wok to fry because it has like the circumference and like the long length and diameter, not circumference, I'm sorry, the long diameter for me to get a little bit of length to my crullers. And I have it on like a medium to low heat. It's been going for a little bit, so medium to low heat, because I want the center to cook through really well. Very similar to how we make our churros. We want to make sure that you start on a little bit lower temperature to ensure that it's gonna cook through the center really nicely. All right, so I'm gonna do my second one to show you guys. As I pull, I stretch, I throw it in and let it do the work. All right. I remember when I was trying to make these as kids and I first started in pastry school, my mom was just like, oh, well, you're in pastry school now, you should know how to be making all these things. And I attempted it and I failed miserably because I didn't let it rest. I did let the dough rest enough so that it becomes very stretchable and easy to work with. If you don't give it the time for it to stretch, or for the gluten to rest, then you're gonna end up with a very, very tough cruller in the end. And my mom was let's say, very disappointed in my results. But I got better at it as I got older, and you know, practice makes perfect, and as we all do make mistakes, it's gonna be okay. We'll figure it out somehow, right? So you can see how it's expanding, creating all these beautiful air bubbles inside. It gets lighter and lighter as it fries. And I care more about making sure that the center is gonna cook through really nicely. And if I need to raise the temperature at any given point, I will do that if necessary to get that nice golden color. But if it can naturally get that golden color on its own, I will leave it as is and won't even mess with my medium high or medium low to medium heat. And so, usually if I had a bigger wok, I'll just keep going, but kind of taking breaks in between here. All right, same process, stretching it, throwing in the oil. And I like to fry with chopsticks just because I grew up doing that, but it's just my comfort level. But you can use tongs, no worries. Tongs is probably much more professional and accurate, to be honest, but I'm making it at home today and it's going to be very homemade, and this is how I grew up doing it. And this is going to just bring back memories. Bad memories with my mom, of course, but good memories as well. Because after I did get it, it's quite a proud moment for us. So I'm raising the temperature a little bit because I do want it to be a little bit more golden for the final finish. And that might make, as I'm seeing how this one's puffing, it looks like it's going to cook through really well, so I'm okay with rising the temperature without being worried about this being undercooked, because the way that it's cooking or frying is taking a little bit to get there, which means that the center should definitely be cooked through. And so I'm okay with raising the temperature for this one without worrying that the center is going to be raw. So I decided to make churros as well, just because I had all the ingredients on hand, so I figured I'd make it, and plus I had all this oil, so might as well use it, right? And so I ended up using a French star tip right here. This is the one that I used. If you're wondering, it kind of has like that closed tip star tip that kind of creates this really nice texture or finish to ridges for your churros. So if you're interested, this is the one that I'm using, the Wilton 1M.